Are you still quite new to speaking French? Or maybe you want to revisit some basic French sentences before a trip to France or another French-speaking country. Welcome, you are in the right place. Today's video was created specifically for French speakers who are ready to go beyond the simple bonjour and ça va to what we might call advanced beginner French. I have tons of video for you to dive into if you want to learn the real everyday French that we speak in France. But to make it incredibly easy for you, I filled this video with 30 minutes worth of my very best content for advanced beginners in French. Are you ready to take your French to the next level? C'est parti! You're having a conversation with a French person and you are so excited to finally be using your French. But all of a sudden, the French person says something you don't understand and you lose the thread of the conversation. You're stuck. What do? You don't want to switch the conversation back to English, right? Well, I'm here to help with some ready-made sentences that you can use whenever this happens to you. So, what happens when you don't understand a French sentence? Of course, you can say that you didn't understand. Je n'ai pas compris. I didn't understand. Repeat after me. Je n'ai pas compris. Again. Je n'ai pas compris. A bit faster. Je n'ai pas compris. Good. This sentence uses the verb comprendre, comprendre, that means to understand. In everyday French, we'd say j'ai pas compris, because we drop the ne, remember?
J'ai pas compris là. J'ai pas compris là.
Of course, you can expand this by saying je n'ai pas compris ce que vous avez dit. I didn't understand what you said. Repeat after me. Je n'ai pas compris ce que vous avez dit. Again, je n'ai pas compris ce que vous avez dit. One last time a bit faster. Je n'ai pas compris ce que vous avez dit. Good. And if you want to be a little bit more informal and switch to tu, you can say j'ai pas compris ce que t'as dit. Because yes, in everyday spoken French, we would cut the E in ce que and the U in tu. So it would be j'ai pas compris ce que t'as dit. Repeat after me. J'ai pas compris ce que t'as dit. Again, j'ai pas compris ce que t'as dit. One last time a bit faster. J'ai pas compris ce que t'as dit. Good. Even better, you can also use the construction with venir de plus infinitif about the recent past. I just did something. Venir de. So this means j'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. I didn't understand what you just said. J'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. If you're not fully at ease with venir de, I did a whole lesson about this. I will tell you more at the end of this video. These examples were in le passé composé. It's one of the tenses of the past in French. However, it's very difficult to know what tense of the past to use. Well, if you're interested in that, we'll talk about this next week, so let's stay in touch. For now, you can also use the present tense when talking in general. Je ne comprends pas ce que vous dites. I don't understand what you're saying. Or, I don't understand when you speak. Repeat after me. Je ne comprends pas ce que vous dites. Again, je ne comprends pas ce que vous dites. One last time a bit faster. Je ne comprends pas ce que vous dites. That's a great sentence for a technical difficulty. For example, when you have a broken microphone or a thick mask, very useful at the moment, or a glass panel, for example, where is something preventing you from understanding that is usually physical. And with a little bit more effort, you can also be a bit more polite about it by saying excusez-moi, excuse me, excusez-moi. Repeat after me, excusez-moi. Again, excusez-moi. Good.
Excusez-moi, je...
So for our sentence, it makes excusez-moi, je n'ai pas compris. Excuse me, I didn't understand. Repeat after me, excusez-moi, je n'ai pas compris. Good. With tu in an informal situation, this becomes excuse-moi. Excuse-moi. So the sentence becomes excuse-moi, j'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. Repeat after me, excuse-moi, j'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. Again, excuse-moi, j'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. One last time, a bit faster. Excuse-moi, j'ai pas compris ce que tu viens de dire. Ooh, that's tricky.
Je ne sais pas, je ne sais plus, je suis perdu.
If you're lost, you can say it as well and say je suis perdu. I'm lost. Je suis perdu. Here I put this as a woman. I put an E at the end of perdu. Je suis perdu. I am lost. If you're completely lost, you can say it as well. Je suis complètement perdu. Repeat after me. Je suis complètement perdu. You can also give it a try and use slang French and say j'ai rien capté, or j'ai rien pigé. I didn't understand anything. Repeat after me. J'ai rien capté, j'ai rien pigé. Again, j'ai rien capté, j'ai rien pigé. One last time. J'ai rien capté, j'ai rien pigé. They're fine. Obviously, like in English, there is a magic word for when you didn't understand something. It is pardon for sorry. Pardon. There is the nasal sound. Pardon. Pardon. Repeat after me. Pardon. Again. Pardon. One more time. Pardon. Good. These nasal sounds are especially difficult. How can you practice hearing them, because it's tricky, and saying them? I made a full lesson on this topic. I will tell you more at the end of this video. Anyway, let's come back to pardon. Pardon is short and to the point, and it is quite polite. It's way more polite than its alternatives, which are quoi, for what, quoi, or un. These last three words are also used when you didn't hear what someone said. But if you didn't hear something, there are also longer, more polite options. For example, we have excusez-moi, je n'ai pas entendu. Excuse me, I didn't hear. Excusez-moi, je n'ai pas entendu. Repeat after me. Excusez-moi, je n'ai pas entendu. Again, excusez-moi, je n'ai pas entendu. Imagine this, you finally made a French-speaking friend and they're inviting you over for a cup of coffee. That's exciting, right? You want to show them how excited you are to accept their invitation, and a very simple oui, merci just doesn't cut it. But you also know that French people aren't exactly known for expressing their enthusiasm. Have you ever noticed that we don't smile as much as Americans or Canadians, for example? In today's lesson, I want to teach you how to express enthusiasm the French way, so you can respond in all these situations without appearing over-eager or suspicious. From a French point of view, Americans are really enthusiastic over anything. Oh my god, that's amazing. Or look, that is so pretty. And often smiling all the time. I know, this is a stereotype and a generalization based on a few experiences. A lot of American tourists are stiff and sober, while a lot of French people are very, very positive all the time as well. But the point is, even if the stereotype of cheerful and enthusiastic Americans is true, it is nothing to be ashamed of. That's really, really great. I am not saying that they should change, not at all. On the contrary, today I want to give you several tools and ready-made sentences that you can use to express this positivity in French. Keeping in mind that I am only talking about broad stereotypes clashing with each other, I have a bit of a warning. French people can get suspicious about too much positivity. They will be afraid that it is fake and they wouldn't trust you or your judgment as much. Why? Well, because some studies do find that French people do tend to be less optimistic than other Western countries. My personal feeling is that French society rewards confrontation and debate more than empathy and agreement.
Bon, un petit coin, vous me faites rigoler. 5000 pouces, ça va faire un joli petit coin, je préfère être franc.
5000 pouces?
Non mais vous êtes dingue, on pourra même plus passer.
Oh ben, je vous réserve une petite allée pour circuler, on n'est pas des bêtes.
Maybe because in French society, conflict is expected and welcomed, whereas in the US, it feels more aggressive. Sarah Schulman describes something like this in Conflict is Not Abuse. The last reason is more important to you, is that in French society, relationships often take more time to build. By that, I mean that you don't become un ami, which is a friend, in just one day. And that's why too much enthusiasm can feel suspicious, because it feels like you're jumping over the time that it really takes to open up to someone else. You often can't fast-track friendships in France, and that means also that friendships can be deeper and stronger. That's part of a French culture faux pas that I mentioned in a previous lesson. But you know, what if you feel really great about something, or if an opportunity really excites you? Should you just shut up and be cold and change your personality? No! And you don't have to settle for a very simple and formal oui either. For instance, if you are impressed by something like a beautiful building or a breathtaking landscape or a mind-blowing dish at a restaurant, you can say something like incroyable, incredible, incroyable, incroyable, or fantastique, fantastique, fantastique. You can also say magnifique, 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 magnifique. And for the greatest thing or the most amazing show, you will hear a French person utter their highest praise with pas mal, not bad.
Pas mal, non, c'est français. Pas mal, non, c'est français.
For everyday enthusiasm, like hearing a piece of good news, for example, you can also use the common oh, super, wonderful, oh, super, or c'est génial, c'est génial, c'est génial. You can also say simply top, nice, top. The slang about expressing enthusiasm changes quickly and expressions can very easily be outdated. But among the people that I know and hear around me, I hear a word a lot which is stylé for stylish, stylé. But I would say that's more for younger people, even younger than me, stylé. And something that is very, 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 very common among most people is trop bien, trop bien. Here, trop means too much, but it is used as très, which means very. Très means very. If you say je suis très contente, I am very happy, je suis très contente, that's good, but it carries less weight than if you say je suis trop contente. I am too happy, I am so happy. Je suis trop contente. If you want to go into more formal French, you can also read je suis si contente or je suis tellement contente. Je suis très contente or je suis tellement contente. I am so happy as well, but this is a bit more formal.
Je suis tellement contente.
For example, if someone just gave you a gift,
Of course, you can show how happy you are, but you can also thank them for the gift. You can say, oh, merci. Oh, thank you. And you put this like tone of voice. Oh, merci. Oh, merci. You can also say, oh, c'est trop gentil. Oh, c'est trop gentil. Oh, that's so nice. You can also be a bit more informal and say something like, oh, c'est super sympa. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, c'est super sympa. C'est super sympa. Sympa is a word that is short for sympathique. Sympathique, that means friendly or likable. Sympathique, but we say sympa.
C'est magnifique, être sympathique.
Colloquial French also resorts to using English to show enthusiasm. I guess it feels more natural than in French. Anyway, it's not rare in French to hear yeah or the ubiquitous cool, cool with the French accent, cool.
Merci, c'est cool.
Ok, cool.
Tu m'avais pas dit, ça c'est cool. Ok, cool.
On the other side of the spectrum, you also have longer French words that are more common in books and not really used by themselves in real spoken French, such as merveilleux, merveilleux for wonderful, extraordinaire, extraordinaire, that's pretty easy to guess, extraordinaire, sublime as well with the U sound, sublime, sublime. We also have splendide, splendide.
Splendid!
But maybe you want to give your congratulations to someone else. Then it is félicitations for congratulations, and félicitations has a silent S at the end. Félicitations. Félicitations. You can also say bravo, that's simple, bravo. And you can also reuse something we saw just before. Je suis trop contente pour toi. I am so happy for you. Je suis trop contente pour toi. Je suis trop contente pour toi.
Ah, Paris. It is such a beautiful, charming and unique city, and there is so much to see and experience just by walking around. Have you ever wondered why Paris is structured in neighborhoods called les arrondissements? Or perhaps you would love to know which areas are best for sightseeing versus shopping, or versus where you might enjoy un café gourmand in a cute cafe? Today I thought we would take a virtual walk around the city together so I can tell you a little bit about its structure, its history, and some of the insights into its special architecture. Would you like to go for a virtual walk with me? Okay, c'est parti. Walking around les arrondissements, you can see and hear and feel the soul of so many centuries, so many stories, and so many lives in Paris. There's so many fantasies and clichés around Paris, and there are also so many ways to see the real city that it is hard for me to talk about it. Yes, it is pleasant to walk around les Fontaines Wallace, les Fontaines Wallace, les Colonnes Maurice, les Colonnes Maurice, les entrées de métro Guimard, les entrées de métro Guimard, and all the Parisian sites, big and small. But Paris is a big city, and at some point you might feel confused about its geography. On this map, for example, where is la Tour Eiffel? Where is Notre Dame? And how far is it if you are in la Gare du Nord? Also, how long should it take you to walk between le 3e and le 11e arrondissement? Let's walk around these Parisian neighborhoods together. The first 4 arrondissements are in the very center of the city. We have le premier, le deuxième, le troisième et le quatrième. This is where you will find le musée du Louvre, le musée du Louvre. But also Notre-Dame de Paris, Notre-Dame de Paris, and the cute neighborhood of Le Marais, and so many historical buildings and museums. Now, let's go back to the map to understand something. Un arrondissement is an administrative division of the city. There are 20 of them in Paris and they're numbered like un escargot. Un escargot, a snail in a spiral starting in the center. Many of them used to be separate villages, but they got absorbed in the big city while it grew. To give you a sense of scale, here is what you can cover by walking 10 minutes from Notre Dame. But obviously, if you want, you can also take le métro if you have a longer distance to travel, for example. Now, these 4 arrondissements were north of the river La Seine, on what we call la rive droite, the right bank, la rive droite. The next ones are on la rive gauche, obviously the left bank. Le 5e and le 6e arrondissement are also some of the oldest streets in Paris. They've traditionally been a place for students and the center of French intellectual life. You have, for example, le Quartier Latin, where you can visit le Panthéon, and the chic neighborhood of Saint-Germain-des-Prés.
Il n'y a plus d'après à Saint-Germain-des-Prés. Plus d'après.
Then on the west, you will find the most expensive streets in Paris. That is where you're going to see La Tour Eiffel. La Tour Eiffel in le 7e arrondissement. And in the 8e, you will find l'Arc de Triomphe. And the famous avenue of les Champs-Élysées. Those places are not the most fun places to walk in though. It's very large avenues for tourists, expensive places, and very bland international stores. Meanwhile, le 16e is famous for being a neighborhood of very rich Parisians, while le 17e is home for many embassies. But for now, let's walk to the south. Le 12e, le 13e, and le 14e, and also le 15e arrondissement are not as flashy for tourism, but they are much more walkable and friendly. Looping back on the right bank, the 11e arrondissement is quite hip with bars and nightclubs near la Place de la Bastille. La Place de la Bastille, where the famous prison of La Bastille used to be.
À l'horizon de nos fenêtres, plus rien ne bouge, plus rien ne vit, comme Paris semble disparaître, dilué dans de l'eau de pluie. À l'horizon, le ciel défait.
Le 10e is the neighborhood of les grands boulevards. Les grands boulevards with great theaters and lots of shops. These boulevards were famously built under, do you know him? Yes, it is Haussmann. He was the prefect of Paris during the 19th century. He was the one who tore down all the little streets in order to make way for these large avenues, which were much easier to defend against a mob. At that time, they built the famous Les Immeubles Haussmanniens. Les Immeubles Haussmanniens. You know, these buildings with these very typical Parisian aesthetics, it's these ones. Then we can walk up to l'Opéra Garnier. L'Opéra Garnier in le 9e arrondissement, alongside other theaters and other shops. As the afternoon is starting to turn into the evening, we get into the more popular parts of Paris in the north. Le 18e arrondissement is host to the red lights of le quartier Pigalle. Le quartier Pigalle, including the famous Le Moulin Rouge. Yes, Le Moulin Rouge, as well as the hill of Montmartre. Montmartre, where the movie Amélie took place.
Venez, je vais vous aider. On descend et hop, c'est parti. Là, on croise la veuve du tambour de la fanfare. Elle porte la vareuse de son mari depuis qu'il est mort.
Real life obviously is not like a movie, but I still like this neighborhood nonetheless. Le 19e arrondissement is big and full of parks, while my grandmother used to take us for a fun day. Finally, le 20e arrondissement is in a strange spot, with the popular streets of Belleville, the giant cemetery of Le Père Lachaise, Le Père Lachaise, and the cute cafes of Charonne. All in all, the 20 arrondissements of Paris draw a diverse city, a very European capital that has kept its history and still welcomes millions of people every year. But it's your turn now. Can you tell me in which arrondissement you can find these monuments? La Tour Eiffel, le Musée du Louvre, le Sacré-Cœur de Montmartre. Yes, la Tour Eiffel is in le 7e, le Louvre is in le 1er, and le Sacré-Cœur is in le 18e arrondissement. Have you ever noticed that French people tend to throw filler words everywhere into everyday conversation? Just like or like or well in English, French words like or ouais add character to what we're saying. Mais en fait, ils ne veulent rien dire. They don't actually mean anything, and trying to understand them can be a waste of energy in the middle of a French conversation. So, to help you out, I'm going to introduce you to some of the most common French filler words while taking you on a journey through one of the most beautiful regions of France, la Provence. La Provence est globalement le sud-est de la France. C'est la région des champs de lavande et du champ des cigales, des collines de garrigues au soleil et autres merveilles du sud. Ce qui donne de très belles balades à faire dans la nature et dans les petits villages. On peut aussi aller en ville pour voir par exemple les fontaines d'Aix-en-Provence, visiter Avignon et son palais des papes ou aller vibrer à Marseille. Il y a aussi la Côte d'Azur avec le village de Saint-Tropez, le chic de Monaco, les paillettes de Cannes et aussi simplement les plages et la mer. En fin de compte, la Provence, ce sont des paysages, un accent bien particulier, une culture méditerranéenne et beaucoup de soleil. Did you understand everything? No? Let's hear it once again, this time a little bit faster and with the English translation. Then we'll dive into the fast everyday spoken French version. C'est parti! La Provence est globalement le sud-est de la France. C'est la région des champs de lavande et du chant des cigales, des collines de garrigues au soleil et autres merveilles du sud. Ce qui donne de très belles balades à faire dans la nature et dans les petits villages. On peut aussi aller en ville pour voir par exemple les fontaines d'Aix-en-Provence, visiter Avignon et son palais des papes, ou aller vibrer à Marseille. Il y a aussi la Côte d'Azur, avec le village de Saint-Tropez, le chic de Monaco, les paillettes de Cannes, et aussi simplement les plages et la mer. En fin de compte, la Provence, ce sont des paysages, un accent bien particulier, une culture méditerranéenne et beaucoup de soleil. Did you understand everything? Great! Unfortunately, this is not how French people speak in real life. For instance, everyday spoken French is not as clear-cut in real speech. There are lots of fillers like you have in English. The basic one that we have in French is when you're looking for words. But informal grammar also works as a filler. Things like en gros with a silent S at the end, en gros, for basically, or tout ce qui est, and the noun, everything like this, tout ce qui est, tout ce qui est. We also have something you might have heard before, which is épi for épuis, épuis with a silent S, we would say épi. And we also have et tout and all that at the end of a sentence. Et tout for and all that. Et tout. Other filler words are more subtle, such as alors for so. Alors with the silent S at the end. Alors. We also have du coup, hence du coup. We also have two very similar expressions. En fait for actually, en fait, where we say the T, and au fait, where we say the T as well. By the way, au fait. These filler words are not really informal, but in spoken French we use them way more than necessary. That helps to keep the attention of the other person. It's a bit like asking questions from now and then. For example, tu vois for you see, exactly the same as in English. Tu vois. We also have tu connais for you know about that. Tu connais. This sounds basic when I am saying this to you in a lesson, but you can find it disorientating in the middle of a fast spoken French sentence. And finally, we also have some informal expressions that are just simply incorrect, like saying au final. You might have heard that a lot. Au final, instead of en fin de compte, which is more correct, or en somme. En fin de compte, or en somme for in sum, or with all being said. We might say au final instead. Another one you might have heard of a lot is juste instead of simplement or vraiment for simply or really in English. Simplement or vraiment are the correct forms, but we say juste instead. And by the way, in correct French, juste has a real meaning. It means fair or precisely. The thing is, you won't find those in the French rules made by l'Académie Française, but they're everywhere in everyday modern French. And now with all that, you are ready for the fast spoken French version of the text. Are you ready? Breathe in, breathe out. C'est parti. La Provence, c'est en gros tout le sud de la France. Alors, c'est la région de tout ce qui est champ de lavande et champ des cigales. Les collines de Garrigues au soleil et tout, tu vois. Du coup, ça fait des très belles balades dans la nature et puis dans les petits villages. Au fait, on peut aussi aller en ville pour voir genre les fontaines d'Aix-en-Provence ou visiter Avignon et son palais des papes ou aller vibrer à Marseille. Ah, et sinon, il y a aussi la Côte d'Azur avec le village de Saint-Tropez, tu connais ? Le chic de Monaco, les paillettes de Cannes et puis aussi juste des plages et la mer en fait. Donc au final, la Provence, c'est des paysages, un accent bien particulier, une culture méditerranéenne et beaucoup de soleil. Ouh, voilà, Did you notice the filler words and the informal expressions that I used? What other signs of informal French did you notice? Let's watch this again, a little bit faster, and this time without the subtitles. La Provence, c'est en gros tout le sud-est de la France. Alors, c'est la région de tout ce qui est champ de lavande et champ des cigales, les collines de Garrigue au soleil et tout, tu vois. Du coup, ça fait de très belles balades dans la nature et puis dans les petits villages. Au fait, on peut aussi aller en ville pour voir genre les fontaines d'Aix-en-Provence, ou visiter Avignon et son palais des papes, ou aller vibrer à Marseille. Ah, et sinon, il y a aussi la Côte d'Azur avec le village de Saint-Tropez, tu connais ? Le chic de Monaco, les paillettes de Cannes et puis aussi juste les plages et la mer en fait. Donc, au final, la Provence, c'est des paysages, un accent bien particulier, une culture méditerranéenne et beaucoup de soleil. Bravo! You can continue exploring French culture and French language with me with another lesson on the same topic. Click right here on your screen to access the next video and I will see you there. Allez, à tout de suite!